Happy Monday. Welcome to my stamp studio. My name is Cheri. So the project I have for you today is so pretty, but I have a couple of things that I just want to go over with you before we get started on it. It's super quick too. So super pretty, super quick, and it's one of those cards that people will be like, you made that? Which we always like those, don't we? The project I'm going to do is from this front cover. I love this suite. This class has opened. I just opened it over the weekend, so you will have time to register for my June Artistically Inked, the suite and the stamps that have different names. I think it's Expressions in Ink for the suite. But that class is open, and we'll talk about that in a second. If you don't have a copy of this catalog yet, and you are in the US and you don't have somebody else that you purchased from, or you just haven't made a purchase in a long time and you think, oh, this all looks fabulous, I want to do it again, I'd be happy to send you one. And then after that, once you purchase from me, they automatically come out to you. So that's always super fun. Then one thing, I know a lot of you, because you tell me you watch me on your lunch hours during the week. So sometimes when I post a weekend video, I just want to make sure that you saw it, because this one did post on the weekend, and it is so cute, and it was so much fun to make. And I did a little bit of a faux enamel wear technique on it and used the new latticed paper. Super cute. Another super easy card. It's kind of a little bit retro for me because I didn't use hardly any supplies, because I made it during my camp and my stuff was all downstairs from my studio. So I didn't have a cutting machine, which this set doesn't come with one anyways, but it's really limited basic supplies. So if you're new to this would be a great place to start. Cause it's again, people would be like, you made that? And really it takes hardly anything to pull that one off. Then I wanted to tell you two things. The Pansy class and May thank yous and VIP videos, all that stuff mailed out today. So it's Monday. So if you're in the Pansy class, you should find your tracking in your Pansy class registration on PayPal. A couple of you overlapped into VIP videos, thank yous, and Pansies. And I pulled my spreadsheet first for the thank you class, and I thought that I pulled them all aside before I did the mass printing. And I think a couple of you are in the Pansy class might not have tracking, because I think it pulled it from the other one, and I just went from that list. So those are all out. If you are interested in my VIP video club, if any purchase that you make, say in May, so the 1 month, then the following month, if any purchase gets you the 2 videos, a link to it, $50 or more, you get the supplies to create along with me for one of the projects. And when you spend $200 or more, then you get the paper and ribbon and embellishments to do both the projects. So that's just a fun little thank you to all of my customers who make purchases. It's not for class registration, it is for purchases on my website. But speaking of classes, so for this one, I used the Artistically Inked bundle, and this one has opened. There are 3 different ways to participate. 1, just videos only. 2, you get the stamps and the dies, and I can't remember, a spritzer, a refill, because we're going to mimic the paper a little bit and use these. And then you get the super fun every time I'm like, I can say this word. It's one of those ones that I stumble over every time. You get the Expressions in Ink pack. Let's call it that. Let's leave out the hard for a Monday word. I said it right before I turned on, because I'm like, I can say the word, I can say it, but I just can't. So there's that full bundle, and then you'll get the supplies and the videos to create the 4 projects. Then there's just the card supplies. So you get the paper, the supplies, and this pack, because you'll need this to create your cards, and I don't want to be dividing all this up. But it has really pretty sequins, white on one side of the die cuts, and then this really pretty metallic gold. So in the class, we'll do 4 projects. We will use the stamps and the dies, so you will need a die cutting machine. And I have a giveaway. The last chances to enter are May 15th, so that's coming up. I love this die. This is my favorite die in the set, and I love the stamps. We're not using my favorite die and just one of the stamps today, because once I started playing with the card, that's how it fell. So, but in the class we will use, I like to use as much as I can, and then you will get some of the paper to create your supplies. So let me show you this paper super fast. Let's start with this side. So there's, of course, double-sided 12 by 12. One has kind of the alcohol ink look to it. So super pretty. You can see even this, it mimics the stamps. So if you don't want to take the time to do the alcoholing technique, you don't have to. You can just stamp it. And I'm going to be doing this with a little bit of gold foiling. So come back for that video. I may do it next just because this stuff's already on my desk, even though I have so many new things I want to use. So we got this side, right? All super pretty. And I started out, actually, this was the piece of paper that I chose to use. But then you forget that on the other side, it's all metallic. And I was like, how can I not use that super pretty metallic side? I'm going to tell you, those of you that are in the upcoming Try It class, this one's going to be really, really difficult for me to pick which papers to use, because look how pretty they are. So while the alcoholing side is beautiful, I'm a huge fan of metallics. So the other thing that I wanted to use, because you know you got to use it all, right? Were the new Diorama dies. So these are all the ones I'm not using. I'm using 2 on this card. So once I pulled these out and I kind of played with them for a second to kind of see how they worked. So it does take you back to the school days when you would build a box diorama, and we could do something really 3D with them. But of course I was just doing a card. So I went with this piece of paper, and sometimes these are really hard to use on cards because you end up with white space, and in my paper share, everybody gets a 4x6. So we will have gotten, you know, depending on how it fell, you'll have a little bit less color and maybe a little bit more white. So I went with this. And so for your card, you need 5.5. So I took, of course, the inch off of the white, because if you have this, you're not going to want to cut that off. So it's 5.5 by 4. So I did that. And then the piece I'm going to use, I'm going to show you. It doesn't have to have a ton of, see, this looks like when you get this, it's mostly white. And I just wanted to point out that when you have these giant 12 by 12 designs and you're shrinking them down, how to make it most work. Because see, if I'd cut the other 1/2 inch off there, I would have lost that. So just cut it off your white. So we're going to go with this piece and then this fun stripe. I'm a huge fan of stripes in black and metallics and all those colors. And then shaded spruce, which is funny. It barely makes an appearance on the piece that I have here, but it all coordinates. And it's funny, let me show you what I did. Well, I have out all of the pads and I pulled out all these greens. I have all the greens that are in the set, which you will need these colors if you do the class. So all of these colors are in the paper, and then these 2 are as well. But I had all these sitting here thinking I could add some green stamping. The card's so beautiful, it doesn't need hardly any stamping. So those are all sitting there, not to be used. So I have a piece of shaded spruce card size, and then I have a piece of shaded spruce that is a 1/4 sheet, except I think I did it 4. I think I did it 4 inches because this is 4 inches when you use 12 by 12 paper. No, it does have a little bit of a border. So this is for, I cut the paper, not today. This is 4 1/4 by 5.5. Yep. So we're going to create a false front because with the dioramas, you need some room to build. So the first thing you want to do is just add a little bit of adhesive. And I'm using seal because that way, if I need to move it, if it's stuck anywhere, I can. So we're going to create our first panel with this. So that's on there. And then we are going, so you take this, your little blob, and for this one, I just kind of like put it where you're going to lose the least amount of your gold if you're using a paper like this. So I might do it here, which is not exactly how the shape is on my other one, but that's okay. So let's run these through. I've got a smaller, I went 2 sizes down with this one. You'll see it nests in there, and that's what we're going to do on here. And then I have the leaves, which are my second favorite die out of the set. Aren't those pretty? And then a scrap of the other piece that I used from my other card on here. So let's run those through. And there's some pieces from a video last week. My husband helped me ship out all of the stuff yesterday, and he came in and he's like, there is no space on your table. Like, is there ever any space on my table? But with new catalog and our vacation coming up and the 2 VIP videos and the pansy class and trying to get the try it things going, I don't have any space on my table. So trying to get everything mailed out in the 6 inches of space that I have was a lot of fun. I don't have a huge I mean, by some people's definition, when you just have a corner of a room, my studio is huge and it's fine for me to just stamp and create. It's when I need to do the office kind of stuff that it really blows up. So I'm going to put this on here. And again, you're going to see it's going to look different than my other card, but I'm trying to get as much of the gold remaining on my card as I can. So run this through. And it cuts through both the pieces of paper just fine. You can see you got both of them. And that's why I just taped around the edges. I didn't want those to stick. It doesn't matter greatly if it does, but I also don't like my dies to go through sticky stuff because sometimes it kind of remains on there. And you have to clean them off because it starts sticking to all your other things. And then this ran through so nicely. I was so happy with the way it, ever since we switched the dies, a couple years ago, they all just cut so well. And I'd much rather spend my time stamping and creating and not poking things out of dies. So I did find, because it has all these little holes in it, whenever you have those, if you can kind of hold on to it, which I don't know, they fall out sometimes too easily. But if you can leave them in here, well, mine's going to come out. It's a super, super fine die. Look at what I mean about the, see, it comes out super easy, but look how delicate that little stem is there. So you just want to be careful when you pull it out that you don't tear your stem. I mean, it pops out. You just don't want to pull on one of those. So you can see where a lot of my things stayed in. See if I can lay it back in here. There's a couple of different ways that you can do this. Again, just because the stem's so delicate. So I'm going to pop that back in there as best I can. And then I have our little foam mat. So now when it's in there, that kind of protects the stem. See, my stem's hidden. So now I can take my Take Your Pick tool, which my husband has really moved off my spot. And then when you roll this, you're not damaging the stem, because the first time it just popped out, except all these didn't pop out. And then I was trying to roll this and I had to be super careful of that stem. So this just kind of helps protect it. And it was easy to put back in there. Back in the day when our dies didn't cut as well, when they were made by somebody else, they stayed stuck in there. So this helped to get them out. Now it just kind of, see how easy that was? And then if you have missed my video about my new favorite office supply, it's my tiny little baby vacuum, because I don't like having all this stuff on my table. And somebody asked if it got cat hair off clothes. Well, my cat was up here, you can see, and it had cat hair on this, so it does take it off. I don't know that I would do it on my black clothes, because no, it doesn't look like there's anything stuck in there. Amazon, I have the link on my website. It's like, I don't know, $12, $15, super cheap. It plugs into your computer to charge. So when I have my laptop sitting here, I just recharge it. And then I don't have all those little things all over my table. You can also run it through here if they stick in here, but none did because that die cut well. So now we just have to put this together. So what you need to do is kind of figure out where this piece is going to go, because the direction this one's going to go is dependent on how this went. So you just kind of puzzle it back together. So I'm going to do this part first. Right here so you can see it better. So it's going to go like this on my card. So I took the hello out of the Artistically inked set. It's a really pretty hello. And I want it here in the corner. And it's slippy a little bit on the metallic, so just don't like move it. But it doesn't show up great, right? It's because when it goes on the metallic, it doesn't really show up. So I took my black embossing powder, which you can get in a little, we have 4 packs now of embossing powder. And the reason you want to put this in there, because when you just look at this, it looks like I stamped crooked, but you do really need to get it the way this paper goes. So it's going to go like that, not straight to your lines. And then it just takes a super second to heat this up. Now, I did use Memento, which is not an embossing ink, so you don't want it to sit there forever. That's why I'm not cleaning up my embossing mess first. But it just makes this look so much brighter on top of that. So So you can see this. In one of my upcoming classes, we'll do some more embossing stuff. It won't be in this one because this one had enough to do. And you can see I didn't get scrap paper out because, you know, I don't know where it is in this mess that is my desk at the moment, but that's okay because my new little thingy just takes that right up off the table. And you can see this embossing powder was dirty, and it also has a label that's really old. So your embossing powder lasts forever. I would like to replace that one. So, you know, the fact that it spilled and I had to sop it up doesn't really bother me that much. Okay, so now to get this to do the fun 3D thing that it will do, I'm going to take our foam adhesive strips. And they literally, it's the dimensionals, but in strip form as opposed to the little hexagons or whatever that shape is. So just take one of these, and I'm just going to add it along here. The diorama is going to be included in my summer retreat, which registration for that will open towards the end of, well, when we get back from vacation, unless I get time. If I get time, I may open it before we go on vacation, but you know, there's always so much to do. And then we had to pick vacation time right when it's new catalog. But the dioramas are part of the summer retreat, which isn't, its registration is through June. The retreat will, I think I have it set to go in July. So you just want to make sure, this is why I did it the same color on top of the same color. Oh, come on. Let's go this way. So just line that up. As you can see, until you've pressed down with this, it doesn't really matter. And this I have a little bit over here. You don't notice it because it's the spruce on spruce. So we have that. If it bothers you, just take your scissors and cut that and you'll have a little bit of a thing, but it's going to get covered up. So now we'll take our little piece here. There's that beautiful other side that we couldn't use, because I will do a card at some point where you can see both sides of the paper, because this is one of those. So just put it back in here. Again, I'm using seal, so if I don't get it exactly right, it's easy to move. Have that. Then you have this piece here, which we need to get some adhesive on. And I found it was, I didn't do glue dots. They're sitting here. I was like, I don't think I used that. I made this card a few days ago. So you just take your glue dot, which is still, they're mini glue dots, but when you put them on here, they look massive. So just kind of fold it in half. And then there's a couple of places on this super delicate little stem, or like right where those leaves match up, and just make sure before you put it on that it's buried behind there. And mine's just being held on by 2, and I picked it up and it seemed fine. So here's another little place right here. That tiny place is bigger than anything else. And then we're just going to put this on here. And again, however it goes through your window the best. And you can see it's stuck. It's perfectly fine. Then I did take my Wink of Stella, and I just added hardly any, but just a couple of places where it would have a little bit of shimmer to kind of pull that back in. And you can see now all of my little things popped out. I'm not a huge fan of having to pop every last one of them out. I think it adds a little bit of interest in texture. So whatever rolled out with my rolly is what came out, and the rest of them will just be like that. And then one final little touch are our matte black dots. And I added 3 of them around my hello. There's 2 sizes, so let's do 2 big ones and one of the small ones. So here's another small one. And then a big one. And then I did take, sometimes, you know, it's hard to write on the inside of our darker cards. So you have this piece that could end up later as something on my desk. Now tell me that that doesn't look like some clouds. So I see some future masking or sponging or spritzing with especially some of the smaller ones on here. But you can go either direction because you could write on this, but I really wanted mine to kind of coordinate with the front of my card. So just stick this in here. I have a little bit of color left. There's even some little bit of gold. And how much fun is that? So they're all going to look a tiny bit different depending on like how you put your window in, and then how these fit back inside, how the paper goes. I do want to try it with one of the other papers and the really pretty flower die. But this is the start. So I would love to have you join me in my online class that's coming up. So registration will go through the end of this month. I think it finishes like June 1st, maybe. I should have looked that up. And then the class will mail in mid-June. So you won't have to wait long to get your hands on this beautiful stuff. Everybody have a great week. My videos may be a little bit sparser because I have the 2 pansy ones posting, the VIP videos posting, and then I have vacation. So I'm going to try to do a couple ahead for next week. But, you know, sometimes reality is, because I'm also working in the triad class. It is what it is. I will try my best, and I will catch you back here shortly. Bye.